Have you ever joined a challenge or signed up for a masterclass simply because the title spoke directly to the problem that you're facing at the exact moment? Listen, what if I told you that the success of your one to many experience, whether it's a challenge or a masterclass, doesn't start with a content inside, but the theme on the outside? Hey, it's your girl, Sherry Summer Bell. And one of the conversation we're going to talk about is the power of compelling theme. When I first started running challenges, I thought people was coming because I had amazing information, but I quickly learned that people sign up not for information but for transformation. And the theme of your challenge is the promise of that transformation. One of my earliest wins is when I shift my theme from something generic like grow your business to something hyper specific like book your first 5 clients in 5 days. That small shift took my registration from flat to full. Just that simple. So today we're going to be defining for you some key elements when it comes to creating a amazing theme that attract people to come to your one to many event. The key to a strong theme is having practical, hyper specific problem that you're solving. And the reason I'm sharing this with you, because as you know, we just wrapped up our 5 day challenge. And one of the questions that I got from one of the viewers who are attendees, that she said, Sherry, do I need to have a personal brand first before I host my first one to many event? She's thinking about hosting a master class, but she's thinking that she need to build a personal brand. And if you're asking yourself that question, then this podcast is for you. Welcome to my space of heaven. So I know you've heard my power, I call it my 7P formula, right? And that's where I dive into what is the power of one 7P formula. And when we talk about the power of one 7P formula, you need to write this down. One of the things it talks about is being able to, in order to be profitable, you have to have these 7 things, which is knowing what is the problem you solve, and the people you solve it for, and the process you use to solve that problem, and and the platform that you use, and the promise that you're going to make to your audience about how you can solve that problem, and to kind of the point of view of how they're doing it, and of course the profit, right? So again, when we talk about those things, those are things, no matter what business you have, e-commerce business, service-based business, those 7 things you have to know. What is the point of view that you share? What is the problem that you solve? Who is the people that you solve that problem for? What is the process you use to solve that problem? All of that, it goes hand in. It's like a beautiful dance, right? So when you take those 7P, the power of one, when you take those 7P things, you have to know the problem you solve, the people you solve it for, the process of how you solve the problem, the promises that you're going to make, and of course the profit. All of that jam, when you take all of that, because that's the first foundation of having a business, whether it's online or not. If you take those information of what you need, you start creating what we call content and all this stuff around it. And then the old way of doing things is hoping someone see you, educate them in the problem that you solve, and you nurture them to death until they say yes to you, right? You nurture them until they say yes to you. That's the way I was taught. That's how I become profitable. And I believe took that as a grain of salt. So I was constantly always showing up online, just constantly wanting to show up, because based on those pillars of what I just said, I'm like, okay, I got to let people know the problem that I solve. So I got to show up constantly. And I'm not telling you not to, because showing up help you to become better speaker. It help your target audience to know who you are and what you do. That's great. But what I realize is, from doing master classes and challenges for 2 years, every single month for 2 years straight, what I realized, this masterclass or one-to-many event is that strategy that you can take a stranger who has never heard of you from Adam, and one day not knowing you from anywhere, and decided to come to your masterclass because of your theme, because of how you wrote your title, your hyper specific title of what that masterclass or that challenge is going to be about. It's because you wrote that theme. They saw it, they say, I have a problem right now. And then you host that event and that person become a client. No nurturing necessary. And I just proved that theology, or when I just came back, when I just hosted my 5-day challenge. Prior to the 5-day challenge, the people who said yes to my offer have never, ever heard of me prior to them coming to my ecosystem. So some of them have bought my book, The Challenge Code, which I highly recommend that you get it. And that made them familiar with me, but they didn't get 20 emails for me to nurture them. They came into my ecosystem. Some of them came in based on my book. Some of them came in based on my ads that they saw, and they came in. So they didn't spend time with me. I'm sure some of them did come on this podcast and kind of listen. If that's you, shout out to you. Thank you. And my point here is, I was not say lied to, because the people who taught me probably didn't know. When I realized I have a gift in my pocket to be able to craft a theme for a challenge and have someone who has that problem right now to come and dive deeper with me on what that problem is and how to solve it. When I realized that, I stopped trying to build a personal brand outside of my knowledge. Oh, I realized that doing the trend TikTok, that's not me. I think Alex Hormozy said in a, I literally was listening in a podcast, and he said the first thing you have to do when you get on the online space, you have to decide, who are you going to be? Are you going to be an educator? Or are you going to be a creator? And from day one, I chose the room as being education. I chose a space of just being an educator. I was quickly realized I'm a thought leader who educate people to be the best that they can be, and I was not a content creator. And there's nothing wrong with doing content creation. There's nothing wrong with content creation, but I wasn't on the platform for TikTok or Instagram or Facebook to pay me money. I was on the platform to help people who see that they have an issue in what I do, using their voice to become billable, right? And who see that they need a system around that, who says, hey, that is me. I'm undercharging for my gift. I don't know how to use my voice. When I speak, they're not turning into clients. I don't know how to generate leads with my voice. And when they see my content and I educate them, even now using this example, the podcast that we're on right now, they'll say, hey, I'm interested in how she does it. Let me come to her challenge and learn how to do it. I'm clear on why I'm on the platform. Are you? So I think I would take I would take notes out of Alex's book and said the first thing you have to do is really decide, why are you on this platform? Are you on there to educate people about your expertise, or are you on there to create content? So you have to decide what side you're going to be on and be a content creator. Now, whether you're a content creator or whether you are be on there to educate people based on your expertise, they both require content for you to create. Let's don't get it twisted. But the difference is, when you know why you're on there, you're hyper specific about the revenue action that you take to get the job done. Ooh, this is so good. This is so good. So you're hyper specific about the content you create, the stories that you put out, all of that, because you know you're there for a different reason. Now, in the world of AI, a lot of people are going to say, well, Sherry, do I still need to educate people? Because, you can get that on ChatGTP, you can get that and all this stuff. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm still going to say yes to it, but with a little twist. right? I 100% believe that you are there. If you are a thought leader and you're there to educate people mentally, physically, financial, whatever it may be in your space, I still think people need to be educated. But I also, and yes, they can get that education chat GTP, but here's the difference. The way you frame, going back to theme again, the way you frame your topics or title about the thing that the problem that you're solving is going to be different than anybody else that is doing it. The way you frame it, so it's all about positioning. So the way you frame your title, and we're gonna go over that in a few minutes. We won't leave you hanging. The way you frame your title and the way not you also position your story with your title, your own story, that is what attract people and want to sign up with your registration page. That is what you want to make sure that sells, that get people to say, hey, let me click this link and go to her registration page because I have this problem. When I left my $42,000 job as in law enforcement, and then I made that money back on a challenge, when I share that story to people that I literally make my salary back, that was the key. I think that opened the door for me, that made me say like, oh, this online business coaching thing is real. like what? like, yeah, this business speaking sales coach is something it's real. And I've made more than that, 10 times fold now. But the idea here I want you to understand is I was clear on why I was getting on social media. I was never getting on social media to create content and dance and sing. Now, if I'm hanging out with my girlfriend and we feel a little loose, that's a little different. But I was clear on, number one, why I am getting on social media. I am not a content creator. I I am getting there to educate the people. I'm naturally an educator. So knowing that I'm in that space, I still need to create content, but from the lens of this content is to educate my viewers now, and I'm doing it in the lens again. I'm doing it in the lens of showing my authentic self, my lifestyle, or showing what I do. If I'm helping you to use your voice and use a system around your voice, like a masterclass or a challenge, you're going to see me virtually teaching class. You're going to see me. And I'm going to also show you how I do all that and create freedom lifestyle and go on a cruise that my business paid for with my husband. For my husband's birthday. You're going to see me celebrating my son's birthday. You're going to see me talking about this particular thing that I'm talking about, even with me talking about the theme. This came from my challenge code book. The story I'm sharing with you came right out of page 142 of the book. Step number one in the book is attract with a compelling theme. So I'm literally going over my action framework with you from the book. And it talks about attract with a compelling theme. And before hosting a challenge, you need to get clear and compel a theme that speak directly to your audience and pain point. Your theme is a hook that gets people interested and must be immediately resonate with their needs and desire. So again, I pulled this right from the Challenge Code book, so you got to grab that book. It's one of my action framework that is taught inside of the book. And I'm sharing this with you because I'm sharing this idea with you because I want you to understand that when you create a challenge, and I think I'm beating this with the dead horse, I don't care. You do not have to be working on your brand separate from doing a one-to-many strategy. And I use the word challenge and masterclass interchangeably because they're pretty much the same thing. One is just occurring more and more over the other, right? So when you create, when you host, when you define a theme, when you have a theme for your event, when you reach to that person, write about what the challenge or the masterclass is about, when you reach that space, that is going to hook people in, even if they never heard of you. They're just coming to say, hey, you say you can solve this problem. I've been having this problem for years, and I want you to help me solve this problem. So I want you to understand that hosting a masterclass or hosting a one-to-many event take the space is parallel to you building a personal brand online. Now, we know a personal brand is important because having that theme really, really helps you. Now, what does that look like for you? We're going to kind of break that down in the next space. We're going to go over the content of that and what that looks like. Okay, so we've been talking about theme a lot, and a theme is defined as that compelling hook, that attention grabbing title of your masterclass or your challenge that get people to say yes. It's a one sentence grabber. That's what I call it. And we're going to show you that one sentence grabber right now on we're going to talk about more of that on my iPad. I'm switching to my iPad. If you're, it grabs your audience attention and it's kind of say, this is for me. This is for me. So when you deciding on it's all about messaging, right? So it's all about message. So when you're talking about your theme, we want to really think about, after completing this past challenge, let me just kind of switch a little bit. After completing this last challenge, I can tell you majority of the challenge that people have is they are too vague on how they help people. So the theme is always going to be about the problem. Always, always. There's a pain that they're going through and they're tired. Matter of fact, I think I wrote it up here. The pain of frustration there's a pain and so under the problem, there's a pain, there's a frustration. That's the R. Frustration and then their desire, right? So under that theme, you have a problem, you have a pain, you have a frustration, you have a desire. And your job with what you say you know how to do, your job is to identify these things inside of the title of your one-to-many event. So your job is to really identify the pain, really identify the frustration, and really identify the desire. And when I say identify it, is be hyper specific. I was working with one of the ladies who are one of our clients now. And matter of fact, I will have her on the podcast. Shout out to Tamika Spicer. She will be on our podcast coming up. And she's a nurse, and she helps women who want to get off meds and really work on their health in a way where they're not always taking all this medication. So one of the things I said to her, I said, well, why does women want to help and want to do this? And she was like, so they can, so they're not frustrated anymore. I'm like, well, why are they frustrated? And so I had to keep asking the key question here is why? Why are they frustrated? And she was like, they're frustrated because they're tired. Why are they tired? Go to why again. Why are they tired? So I'm trying to get to the theme of what her masterclass is going to be. She's like me, like a mom, a mom, she's trying to have this energy because they're frustrated because they lack energy. So I said, okay, Tamika, why do they lack energy? She was like, well, as a mom, they want to be able they just don't have the energy at the end of the day. Why don't they have the energy at the end of the day? So I keep asking the why question, and because I want her to get hyper specific. And then she's like, because they want to be able to play with their kids at the end of the day. They want at least 2 hours. They go that 2 hours, 2 hours to dedicate to playing with their kids at the end of the day, and their energy is just shot. But with what I teach, I'm able to give them back 2 hours in their day. And I'm like, okay, so if they have 2 hours in the day, what does that look like? And then she's like, they'll be able to nurture their kids in the right way. And I also asked her, so I said, well, what if they don't get that 2 hours? What if they don't do? What if they don't do your solution? What will happen to that mom time that they need? And she was like, well, they can't live their life like that. They'll be tired and exhausted. I said, boom, you just arrived. I said, now I want you here. Now here is what I want. Now I want you to plug what we just said into Chat GTP. And when you plug that into Chat GTP, I want you to be able to explain to Chat GTP. I want you to be able, when you plug that in, I want to see what Chat GTP come up with. And I wanted to actually, when you plug it in Chat GTP, let's see what Chat GTP come up with. Because see, Chat GTP is not your beginning state. You have to get hyper specific, and when you get hyper specific, then Chat GTP will take it all the way for you. And I wanted to really come back and kind of tell you what Chat GTP came up with for her, and it was something like 5 days for single moms to feel energized from their CEO job. So I think it was something where she says, discover how to get 2 hours back in your day and feel energized. It was feel energized to play with your kids after a full day at your corporate office. Okay, I wrote this out like crazy, but we're going to break it down. Discover how to get 2 hours back in your day and feel energized to play with your kids even after a full day in a corporate office. Okay, I just kind of play around with that. Just looking at that theme, let me break down what you're seeing where you don't probably realize what you're seeing. So she said, discover how to get 2 hours back in your day. So this is the promise. And feel energized. This is the promise right there. Feel energized, right, to play with your kids. So there go the promise right there. I want you to understand this. That was a promise, right, that she said. Now, after a full day in a corporate office, right, that tells me that it's somebody who can afford her price for her offer, right? Corporate office. And this also, the way it flows may also make me feel like she's talking to a mother a woman who is in corporate, who can afford the solution that she provide. So just the title, attract and repel the people who she wants to work with. So she didn't just say single mom or whatever. What she did, knowing she put in a corporate office back in your day, even if you have a full day at the office, that tells me exactly who her target audience is and who she's trying to go after. This is how hyper specific you have to be when you're coming up with your webinar, your masterclass, your challenges. This is a hyper specific you have to be when it comes to doing these things. So, and it's so important, because if you miss this, then people will say, your ideal client may miss it because it wasn't hyper specific enough. Another thing that my mind is also telling me that you need to be able to do as well. Another thing that is really coming to my mind, you're only solving for one problem when you're creating your theme. She's only solving back what we were showing you. She's only solving for increasing the energy so they can have time back with their kids. I'm going to show you again. Increase your energy so she can have time with the kids. So you can increase your energy so you can go to the gym, increase your energy so you can go work out. She could have said all these other things, but the purpose of increase her energy is so they can have time back with the kids, even after working at corporate office all day, right? So those two things, that's all she's promising. That is all she's promising. Now, does the byproduct of increasing her energy comes with all these other things? Yes. But I want to be clear. The one mistake that you're making, that why your webinars are not getting filled, is because your theme is not strong enough that's pulling them in. So that's the one mistakes. So you could be repelling your ideal client because your theme is not hyper specific enough about who you're talking to and who you're not. So, and even if you people are showing up but they're not buying, second reason why you may be running into issues in getting your challenges and your masterclass filled. You may be getting the wrong people because the title of your theme is pulling in the people who can't afford you or pulling in freebie. So that's why the theme, because that's the front end of what people see on your registration page. That's why it's so important that you get clear on writing a strong, hyper specific theme of the problem you solve and the desire of how the outcome you promise. So when they read that theme, or when you do your marketing, it is clear on what this theme is going to talk about. Another example of this that I think about is when I was doing my event, I had one of the masterclass I host was how to get people to say yes to you masterclass. Now that may seem broad, like how to get people to say yes to you, One of the videos that I did that literally was off the charts is the video that helped with that. Was inside that video though, I got super hyper specific. I was talking about how to prevent all these extra follow-up calls. So how to prevent all these extra follow-up calls that you have to do. If your theme and your message is correct, then you won't have that much follow-up calls, right? So I went into 5 ways for people to say yes to you in that masterclass. I may do that masterclass again. I don't know. I'm still debating if I should or should not. But the idea I want you to get from here is your theme is the most important thing. Your theme, and notice I didn't say title, because your theme is mixed with, your title is mixed with your title has with your pain, your desire and your frustration. So the title is mixed with those things. That's why it's a theme, right? So in this case, Tamika is talking about energizing for the kids' sake. The person with the most energy has more time to spend with their kids. All right. I cannot stress this enough. I'm not going to beat a dead horse anymore. First thing first, get the challenge code book, because the more steps is in there. Okay, now that I have my theme, what do I do? Make sure you get the book. It'll talk more about that. And I'll see you on the next episode.